is they wanted to find out what was the best martial art. And when they first set about doing this journey, it was proven that Brazilian jiu-jitsu was the most effective. And you need solid striking, solid wrestling, and solid ground control.
Taekwondo stuff and all with the Nepali guy you were. How wrestling is so fruitful in MMA or not? Pun intended.
They are incredible athletes and they are artists themselves. When we're talking about MMA, wrestling is proven to be one of the most effective, most dominant art forms in the cage. In Russia, the fighting in cars, the fighting... In Russia, the product they're trying to sell is the fight before the fight at the press conference. That's something we ain't going to talk about that. I want to talk about real MMA. So American Kickboxing Academy have the reputation. We know it's one of the best gyms in the world. Thailand is like a mecca for the mixed martial arts culture because
so whenever Thailand name came up, I only think about Muay Thai.
Muay Thai, exactly. I love it and hate it at the same time. Yeah, MMA is a hobby.
Exactly.
It starts as a hobby. Eventually, you get so good that maybe you could just fight.
Hello, welcome to our second episode of fitness session. जसमा चाहिँ हामीले चाहिँ के हुन्छ फिजिकल फिटनेसमा पनि एउटा ध्यान जाओस् भनेर चाहिँ हामीले एउटा फिटनेस सेसन भनेर चलाउँछौँ. त्यसमा चाहिँ वी फाउन्ड आउट द्याट न्यू एकदम हाइपवाला कुरा जसमा चाहिँ हुन्छ नि MMA फाइटिङ मिक्स मार्सल आर्ट त्यसमा पनि एउटा एकदम क्रेज बढिरहेछ. मोर अफ द यङ्स्टर्स आर मोर किन टु इट एन्ड सो वी पम्प्ड इन लकिली हाम्रो कोच रेक्सको द्वारा चाहिँ हामीले चाहिँ वी हेभ अ भेरी इन्ट्रेस्टिङ गेस्ट फ्रम सात समन्दर पार भनौँ होइन. लेट्स वेलकम मिस्टर रिचर्ड मन्स, MMA fighter, coach, who is here actually training our people, Nepali people, you know, MMA ma train गरिरहनु भएको छ उहाँ. So let's welcome him. Welcome back.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me on. Welcome back. First time here.
Okay. What we are going to start from here is what this MMA and fighting is all about. Let's hear it from you.
It's enough to fill up 5 podcasts, but I'll try and summarize this. Yeah.
Okay.
But it's, first of all, like I want people understand it's martial arts.
Okay.
Because the general it's just fighting in reality. It's like, but it's so deep and so simple at the same time. So mixed martial arts is a sport. It's a culture. It's an art form.
Okay.
It's many things. So it can be perceived in so many ways. But that's the whole thing with art. It's like expression and perception. So not everyone will perceive it the same way. And I'd love to give you like a history lesson on the sport because it's brand new. Like I'm born 1992, and I think the first UFC was like 1995. And when it first come about, they couldn't get it on television or anything. I don't know who the president of the States was at the time, but he was saying it's human cockfighting. And in a sense, I guess it is. It is. But that's like when you say it like that, the public can't see the art form. But this is the whole point, it's art, isn't it? So this politician want to say it's human cockfighting. To him it is.
It's a perception.
To me, it's my culture. It's my life. It's my lifestyle. It's brought me absolutely everything. It's taught me everything. It's the best education I ever got. It's so hard to summarize what it actually means to me because it means everything. You know, I've even got. I haven't told you this, but I'll start the podcast with this. Like, I've got a twin brother as well. Okay. And we both grew up doing this. Okay. But like we grew up doing taekwondo. So this is now very popular in Nepal. And I would like to shout out Sarad Mokhtan, who I used to work with back in UK. Okay. And he was always telling me about the Guru Mu Taekwondo team. His brother used to train, and he was from Nepal. And Richard, you go to Nepal one day? Sure, Sarad. Sure. So I'll just quickly. So it's like, but what's Taekwondo? That's a culture coming out of Korea. And is Taekwondo MMA? No, not at all. Okay. If you step into that cage just with Taekwondo, you'll get chewed up in a round. Oh, nice. But I've used my Taekwondo to win fights, to execute in there. And so it's Taekwondo, a culture coming from Korea, and mixed martial arts is all martial arts in one. So it's like just briefly, I'll just give like the explanation of what mixed martial arts is they wanted to find out what was the best martial art. And when they first set about doing this journey, it was proven that Brazilian jiu-jitsu was the most effective. And I can explain why, but now it's not, because the most effective martial art is mixed martial arts. And this is the thing.
You need a chunk from every technique.
It's an art form. So you could come to me and you're maybe a boxer from so-and-so, and I'm like, oh, wow, you've got excellent hands. So I'd hope you're going to win your fights with your hands. But then my job as a coach is to introduce other cultures to you, and you can just pick and choose what you want. Now in MMA there are things that you have to have, and it's kind of like a bit of like a holy trinity going on. You need solid striking, solid wrestling, and solid ground control. And then just looking at the striking alone, it's like taekwondo, karate, boxing. I've never seen kung fu, and so I don't know what kung fu is, to be honest.
Exactly.
So this, that's a culture I don't know about.
We can find measure of the kung fu being debunked in YouTube also.
MMA has, I tell you what, MMA has revolutionized the self-defense industry as well, because you get like fake gurus want to teach pressure points and and
Tai
attack.
Chi.
Well, Tai Chi's more about well-being. It's not about fighting.
But
So I'm all for Tai Chi, because you could use that to supplement your training, because it hurts MMA.
okay.
And a little bit of yoga, a little bit of Tai Chi, going to keep the body moving, keep the joints lubricated. But well, I've gone on one. What was I talking about? I was explaining.
So-
you go
So
ahead.
I would like to cut you over here.
Yeah.
So as per my view, we were you were with that taekwondo stuff and all,
Yeah.
with the Nepali guy you were in
He was
UK.
just my friend. We used to talk about taekwondo.
So we grew up.
But I know
with
it's big in Nepal. I see the kids
Wrestling
everywhere
is-
with their dough box. I'm like, and I love it. It's like I'm seeing. I see how popular taekwondo is here, and that's where I started taekwondo. And I wanted to do taekwondo because I always wanted to be a fighter. And then it changed to Muay Thai, and then because I was looking for the absolute truth. And then I love taekwondo, but it's just I couldn't know how to punch. So then I started doing Muay Thai. And then I couldn't grapple, and I started doing MMA. And it's like snowballed into this thing. Yeah.
So I would really like to relate you with the wrestling. So we grew up. So whenever we siblings meet, so we try all of those wrestling stuff, and we are more keen to your wrestling and all.
Yeah.
Same goes with taekwondo. So how wrestling is so fruitful in MMA or not? I would just want to.
So we're not talking.
Is wrestling
We're not talking Showtime wrestling, are we? I think you are. You're
Exactly.
You're talking like
so
rock bottom and
rock bottom, chalk slam.
Steve Cold Austin. I never used to watch that as a kid because I always knew it was bullshit. But sorry, I didn't mean to swear.
Okay.
No
No problem.
that's going to happen a few times in this podcast.
No
Listeners are letting you know. That's still a culture. That's still,
It is.
but that's still an art form. But it's not real fighting. So them guys, I'm not dissing Showtime wrestling at all, because it's actually
Pun intended.
they are incredible athletes, and they are artists themselves. But it's a lie, and what I love about mixed martial arts is pure truth. You two men step in there, two ladies now.
Fighting
and
it.
You just see the truth. You can't hide in there. You can't hide who you are, and you can't hide how vulnerable you are. And it's real fighting. So you got Showtime wrestling, but let's talk about wrestling.
Wrestling, okay.
Now, wrestling is the global culture.
Exactly. We grew up doing that.
No, real wrestling. I'm talking like
okay.
freestyle wrestling, Olympic
Okay.
wrestling, Greco-Roman wrestling.
Oh, that one.
In Mongolia, they have like an ethnic form of wrestling there. It's huge. And in Iceland, they got a type of wrestling where they use the harness. You go to ancient Greece, there's statues of wrestlers. First Olympics, wrestling. First Olympics, actually, we also had pancration. Pancration is a mixture of boxing and wrestling. So in a sense, that's the earliest mixed martial arts. We thought it, it come through on in the current modern world. The first introduction to mixed martial arts was like freak shows at circuses and stuff, and
Gladiators.
it was Vale Tudo in Brazil, but it was a circus act. Okay, gladiators. But that's different. Well, it's
a fight.
It's a fight, but there's swords. It's a different sport in a sense. But we are the modern day gladiators.
Exactly.
That is actually what we are, most definitely. But wrestling, we was talking about wrestling. Wrestling is, when we're talking about MMA, wrestling is proven to be one of the most effective, most dominant art forms in the cage.
True form of the wrestling, not a
true form of wrestling.
Not
Wrestling
we used to watch.
No, there's no smacking them with a chair.
Exactly. That doesn't. So
they'll probably bring that in Russia at some point. Russia are doing some mad stuff with MMA.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the.
They can bring chairs on MMA.
In Russia, they're fighting in cars.
Yeah.
They're fighting. In Russia, the product they're trying to sell is the fight before the fight at the press conference. That's something we ain't going to talk about that. I want to talk about real MMA.
It's very gritty.
They just love some.
Gory
We're in the
stuff.
clickbait generation. Everyone want views, and it's quite a fickle society. So people just want silly stuff, and they want to see people fighting in a car. I can kind of see it's cool in some ways, but I love this game. I love this culture, but I'm seeing the social media kind of change things. I'm seeing the rise of boxing's dying, and it's being replaced with misfit boxing. It's just.
I just heard about that.
behavior.
Boxing is dying, and then kickboxing kicked in, and it's gotten a little more lamplight over there. And then
kickboxing should have always been on top
Exactly.
before MMA was invented, like the modern MMA that we know. It's like boxing's a wonderful art form. Kickboxing's a wonderful art form. Boxing and kickboxing don't threaten each other. Football and rugby don't threaten each other. Yeah, people prefer football. I prefer rugby. But I think with boxing, there's a lot of wicked politicians that have kept the sport where it is. And then I walked into a boxing gym in Milton Keynes once, and I'll give you a bit of the culture, what's going on there. And I went to this. I was fighting in kickboxing before I was fighting in MMA. I was fighting in kickboxing and tough fights, really tough fights. And my coach was such an incredible man. But coaching, I'm a full-time coach. So my students get all of me right now. My coach was part-time. He's running 2 classes a week, just 2,
That's
right?
true.
And I'm fighting men that are training every day. 2 classes, but there's no, the student must always take accountability. Now, my coach at the time, Dick James, I love this man so much. He made me who I am, and he made me believe in myself. But he didn't inspire me with the fighting, just the fighting. It was about what he does. Like, he served in the army, but he was running a security company. Now, teaching's difficult. He was teaching classes, big groups of people. You got to be confident to do that. He's a self-employed builder. He building houses from the ground up, just him and a couple other guys. He had his hand in so many pies.
things.
And then he's also got me fighting really dangerous men. And I thought, and then I knew I couldn't fight these people and just train twice a week.
They are
So
training daily basis.
I took the responsibility to outsource more training, and I thought, I started with Taekwondo, so I've got excellent kicks, better than most Muay Thai fighters. I think Taekwondo has a better kick if we're talking mixed martial arts. Time and a place, it's all about the application of the kick. But anyway, so I thought, well, my hands are rubbish because I never started with that. So I thought, right, there's a boxing gym in Milton Keynes. I hear they're really good. MK Victors or something. So yeah, MK Victors. And I went there, and I was obviously good when I was strong, 17-year-old. And I went there, and I was hitting the bag. And then, I get some attention straight away. It's like, oh, he's good. He's good. So one of the coaches was lovely. And he's just like doing what a coach does, just selflessly going to invest in me, because I paid for the class. And I think it was the actual owner. So this is what I tell you the problem with boxing is. But the actual owner come to me, and he says, so they know there's a fighter in the gym. And I tell the coach, the nice one, yeah, I do kickboxing. Oh, yeah, great, I can see. And so I tell him I do kickboxing. And this is before MMA had really blew up. So I'm not even threatening them with the MMA, but they're acting like I'm a boy.
Yeah.
So how are they scared of me? And how could they be? And then the owner pulled me aside. First lesson, and I paid for the lesson. So technically, I'm a customer.
Exactly.
So this is why boxing's dying, because of this
business.
attitude that's global. And we can talk about the
It's
Francis
more about being
Ngannou
a
fight as
business
well.
than.
I guess so, but these politicians don't fight. They don't know what we go through. Now, I'm sure the owner was a boxer himself, but I think he was threatened that I was coming from a different culture, and my culture threatening his culture. I'm like, no, we share. you know, you're sharing your culture with me, and we'll speak in Nepali a bit. We'll talk about the music, and this is how these boxers are thinking. And so we've got a 17-year-old boy in this class, and he pulled me to the side, and first class there, I don't know anyone. They just see that I'm physically very fit and I can fight. And he pulls me aside and he goes, "So what? Are you going to fight for us then, or what?" And I was a bit scared because I'm like, "What?" And
you're a rookie.
He's like, "Are you going to fight for us? Why are you here? Are you going to fight for us?" And I'm like, I just want to train." He's like, "Why are you here? Why are you here?" I just want to train. I just want extra training. And then because he knew I was doing this kickboxing, and he said, "Oh, you see that board over there?" And bear in mind, I've paid to be taught. "You see that board over there?" And it was just a board with burpees, sit-ups, tuck jumps. It was just a circuit on a board. "You can do that." Well, I'm in the class. "No, you can do that. Because if you ain't going to fight for me, I ain't going to waste my time on you." And this is what happened to me. And then I never went back. And I'm a damn good fighter. And I could have fought for them. Because I love boxing. I've got a great boxing coach, Lee Edwards. Now, he's evolved with the times. He's bringing that excellent boxing into MMA. But going back to these people, anyway, I'm like, how can you expect this young boy to fight for you?
Exactly.
I don't know you.
Exactly.
I've just met you. I was fighting for my coach, Dick James, because I trust him. We're like family. We've got zero rapport, and you think I'm just going to fight for you? So maybe let me train here for a year and say, end of the year, "Richard, you're doing really well. I'd love it if you could come fight for me, because I think you can." And but what it was is because I was kickboxing, and they made me feel, well, not they, just one man, made me feel so unwelcome, and I never went back. And this is why boxing's dying. This is why boxing's dying. Kickboxing doesn't threaten boxing. MMA does not threaten boxing.
It's not about competition. It's
boxing
about
will always be here. It will always be here. We love boxing. Now, this Francis Ngannou fight and Tyson Fury fight, I didn't actually watch it, so I'm not going to say too much, but I've heard what everyone's saying. And what I'll say is that none of the fighters, you know, I'm in my head, I'm thinking, this is the fight to save boxing, because I idolize Tyson Fury, a wonderful man, and I idolize Francis Ngannou, wonderful man. And then, because all we're just watching is these disgusting misfits boxing and these YouTubers with the massive ego things, right? And they're just coming into our world because they just want extra clout. I'm like, no, you don't want to do what we're doing just for extra clout, and they're doing it the easy way.
They're gonna be
don't pretend you're nothing like us, like this kind of warrior mindset. Anyway, so I thought, right, we've got two kings gonna fight. We've got the king of boxing, the king of MMA gonna fight. It doesn't matter who wins. We've got a real boxing match and two of the best in the world. And so what I hear is Francis Ngannou won convincingly. Not a single one of the boxers let the world of boxing down. They turned up and they did what they were trained to do, and they performed. So if Tyson Fury lost, he hasn't let anyone down. He didn't even let himself down. We all have bad days. But who let us down were the politicians, because they did the thing that everybody said they were going to do. They did the thing that everybody said they were going to do.
It's all about
and
money,
there was
competition.
gonna rob Ngannou if he didn't finish him. And why they were going to rob him? Because Ngannou come from MMA. So they're scared of the MMA culture threatening the boxing culture. I'm like, no. If he fights an excellent MMA boxing match, he's a boxer. He's fighting in boxing. And then they should have just given him the win. I'd pay triple to see the rematch, you know, and, you know, that's a huge, and then all of a sudden you got another millions of eyes that weren't watching boxing, now watching boxing because they was watching MMA. And now our hero Ngannou's world champion. So it's like, that's what they should have done. But they did the thing that everyone knew they was going to do, and that left a bad taste in everyone's mouth. And I'm sure Tyson Fury ain't even happy about it. So that's just a thing. But I've gone on. See, I talk a lot. Will's here to talk about MMA. And
moving. So let's move on to the more specific topic. So what motivated you in the initial state for Nepal?
Oh,
that is the thing I want to know. So I just had a brief discussion about you being from India to the border side, and you are so influenced in Nepal, and you are teaching here. So what drives you here?
It's pure chance. It's pure chance. But at the same time, I say it's pure chance, or I felt it's meant to be. Absolutely. I believe in synchronicities, and I won't explain the synchronicities, but they've been there in my life. So we got to go far back because so I've always been struggling as a fighter because I've always been working full time and at my job and relatively high pressure job, but never paying me enough. And I've done many jobs and oftentimes 2 jobs at the same time.
In
But
UK.
at work, it's Richard, you're turning up late, you're slacking. I'm like, no, I'm working really hard. And it's because at work, I'm fucked from training. And at training, I'm fucked because of work. And I ran this for like 7 years.
Okay.
Because I knew I had to work to keep a roof over my head and keep things going. But I knew I could never be successful at work because I don't love it. And I only felt compelled to do the fighting. But, you can't just fight. You got to get money. And the money's so poor in MMA until you make it big. So I think, wow, I'm going to get my break. I'm going to get my break. And I tell you, in 2020, I was going to get my break. And then a curveball from away. So like, of course, we all got a curveball, isn't it? With the
that's life.
Yeah. So, so I'm working, and I never wanted attention from fighting. I didn't like being that weird guy in the office who's black and blue a couple of times a month, and I'm not fitting in there. But I've got to work because I've got to pay these bills, and I've got to pay my tuition at training. But I've got arthritis in my arm because I never got time for this recovery because my recovery time, I'm working like a dog. And when I need to recover from work, I'm training like a dog. And I did the night shifts. Like, this is a long story, but just I've got to give you some back.
The scenario is same,
I've got to give you some back. Because you're asking how I ended up in Nepal, but it's such a long journey and it started so many years back. So my dream was to be a professional athlete. And
that's not sustainable as per you.
And technically, I achieved the dream because I was a professional athlete. I was fighting professional, but not getting the professional paychecks.
Exactly.
And I'm working full time, so I want to and I want the fighting to be my full time because I'm breaking, and I felt weird at work. I didn't like people knowing that I was fighting on the weekend. And things like that. I just wanted to do it. I was doing it for me, not for anyone else. Never doing it for no clout. And I thought, now in hindsight's a bitch, but now I think I should have just done the PT route. So anyway, I'll show you what happened. I finally get my break. I'm gonna fight in America in 2020. And then I thought, okay, you know what? I've got reasonable grounds here to now tell my boss, to speak to.
I quit.
I was working for the railway, and I got reasonable grounds to get. Like, the money weren't there yet, but the platform was there, and so I wholeheartedly went to my boss and I said, "Look, I've really got this great opportunity. I'm going to fight in America. I'm going to represent our country."
How do you bump into that opportunity?
I'll tell you. So I used to fight on Contenders. Contenders is an excellent promotion in the UK. Me and my brother have both represented excellent on there. So Tom was signed to Cage Warriors. He's the higher level. High level, no, but he's the more accomplished professional.
Okay, your brother,
your
twin
my
brother.
So anyway, the opportunity come to me, fight in America, be Team UK. So I'm like, brilliant. So I go to my boss and said, look, I'm going all in, and this is difficult working, and I said, I just want 1 day off a week.
What?
Yeah, because I got to get the money. They're not gonna,
they're not going. They are not paying for you to fight, right?
No, I'm not working. No, but I still got work.
Okay.
So look, I'll get to the end of this because I'm trying to explain how I'm in Nepal. So I tell him that I'm going to work. Can I work can I have a day off a week so I can just recover, maybe get some extra training? And I thought with just that 1 day extra, I'm going to grow, get up here. So it took me a lot of balls to speak to my boss like that and say, look, I'm really real about pursuing this career. It ain't just a hobby for me now. And
what was his reaction?
Yeah, no, they were like, yeah, you go for it. And then I was like, idiot, because I worked for Network Rail at the time, and they're actually a wonderful company, and they do support people really well. If you've got too many children at home, trust me, Network Rail, excellent company to work for. But I guess I was always a little bit.
You
shy
don't have the
timid.
guts.
Yes, I was too shy and timid in that. So anyway, and then they're like, you go for it, you're going to get... But anyway, I had to take a pay cut at work just to get the extra day off. So it's like, it's no... I got to work. So anyway, I'm going for it. I'm going to fight in America. I'm going to win. Contenders, we're doing this thing. They're going to try and make a reality TV show out of it. Okay. I was going to smoke this American guy that was going to put me against. And I was going to get the eyes on me that I need to get the money, get the platform that I need to start going somewhere. But of course, then... I get my visa. I'm like, this is really happening. Good. My training's going well. And then lockdown, boom. And I wasn't upset. I wasn't upset because it was what it was. And I just thought, I'm so lucky, you know. You know what? When lockdown happened, I thought, I'm lucky, man. Imagine being in this situation and being somewhere else in the world. You know, I thought about all the poor countries. I did. I thought if you're in in Indian slum, if you're in somewhere in Africa, and this lockdown happened, your village, your town, whatever, it ain't even going to get food supplies. And I knew this straight away. Yeah. So I was like, I wasn't even upset that the opportunity left me. I had faith it was going to come back to me, something better come back to me. I had faith it was going to come back to me. And
so that show just got cancelled.
Yeah, it got cancelled because they couldn't fly us. But Contenders put on I did fight during the lockdown. I fought in the very first ever sports, or I think any event worldwide that had a crowd in attendance. So they put on another show. It was in a Norfolk field. It rains a lot in England, so we got lucky with the weather, right? And everyone parked the cars around the cage, and they tuned into the commentary on the stereo. And so I fought there, but I was still, you know, what happened is lockdown happened. Then I'm forced to work at home. I had not really any furniture, so I'm using my sock drawer as my desk, and I can't remember what I was sitting on, so I get crazy bad back. And then everyone's losing their shit at work, and I'm like, look, my opinion was like, oh, the world's ending, let's just have fun, stay off my back. But everyone's my phone's pinging because people are upset with how anyway. So yeah, and then I went through it, and then I thought during the lockdown, because I'm like, I'm not letting my dream slip. And then I see an opportunity to teach in India. Okay. And
how you end up in India is still
so it's India to Nepal.
Exactly.
So I see this opportunity, and I'm having a terrible time with my flatmate. Okay. Because he's like, oh, you're gonna kill me when you step out the house. I'm like, oh, come on, don't believe none of that. And because he knows I'm training, and he's trying to stop me training, and it's just with two very different people, so it was difficult. And I see this opportunity in India, and I'm like, I see it on Facebook. I knew the owner of the gym, and I'm like, well, all my other opportunities have been taken away from me right now.
This may be the sign.
This was the sign. It was, because I felt an energy. Do you know what I mean? And I just messaged him, and I just said, because I'm like, there's no way I'm going to spend my life working at home. Okay. Fuck that. I didn't know how this is going to last for. My back is killing me. So I messaged him, I said, you got a coach yet? No. And I was like, no. Here I am. Like, that's how it started. Okay. And then, so then anyway, I it was a big gym in Goa. I think they're doing really well now. I'm not too sure. It was American Kickboxing Academy. So they're one of the world-renowned gyms.
In India?
Yes. World-renowned. Okay. American Kickboxing Academy. Okay. The best of the best are coming out of that gym in San Jose, somewhere in California. Habib Nurmagomedov, Cain Velasquez, like the best of the best coming out of this gym. So for me, like going to Goa to teach and try and uphold that AKA reputation, I try my best to do it. It helped me grow so much. But
you signed up as a coach?
I signed up as a coach, yes, as a coach, because I knew they needed a coach, and then I knew that India, it's a developing scene in India.
So I have to cut you here. Yeah. So I'm a bit of a loss over here. So you're talking about the social media post you found out about the Indian gym.
Yes.
And certainly the conversation went on to that American gym. So I'm a bit of a loss over here.
Okay. It's a franchise.
Okay.
So American Kickboxing Academy have the reputation. We know it's one of the best gyms in the world. They've got a branch. They've got 2 branches in America, and they've got 1 branch in Thailand. The one in Thailand is more like a resort type thing, and so basically they was going to open another branch in Goa. Okay. And to kind of
they're searching for the coach.
Yeah, to copy the same business model that they're running in Thailand. So it's for locals. Mostly it's a tourism thing. But I'm like, well, I can be full time in my game now. And I thought, you know, no one's traveling. I've always wanted to see the world. And I thought, right, I don't know what India's like. Just go for it. Like, it's got to be better than where I'm at right now, because I wasn't in a good place. I really wasn't. I was in a bad place. And I messaged him, got coach. No. Here I am. I send him some fights. I send him some content of mine. And then he sends that to the big bosses of this franchise.
It's
Not even, yeah, they've just started the franchise, I think, but
in India.
they're from America, but the Goa one is India, so it's a big company. Anyway, and they're like, good, he's a great coach, let's have him. And then so it's an opportunity I see online. I went for it. Crazy thing is, like, my start date got pushed back like 3 times. So what happened is, he got like 2 Indian lockdowns. They had a cyclone in Goa, so I was supposed to be there in like March of 2021, and I didn't end up getting there till like end of September 2021. So my start date get pushed back, and then I just quit my job with no safety net, and everyone's like, "Are you crazy, Richard? It's COVID. Like, you're working for the government, your job's safe." And I was like, "It doesn't matter." And then I just quit everything, and I thought, right, I can't be doing what I'm doing in the office, because if I'm going to represent AKA, the best gym in the world, I've got to start training to be a damn good coach, because I was just coaching for pocket money back then, just twice a week. Part-time coach, part-time fighter.
And now we are getting serious.
Yeah, so then I got serious, and I thought, no, I've got to do this. So I quit my job, and I just remember when I quit my job, just lying on the sofa like, oh shit, I've got to get some money. And then I was panicking. I was like, what do I do? And I got a job roofing. Loved roofing, best job. And then I just thought, but I got to do my skills. And then I just started teaching in the park. I just teaching, and I was just stacking up the money, teaching one-to-ones everywhere. And everyone's like, "Yo, you're a criminal." I'm like, "Am I?" Yeah, you're gonna kill him, give him COVID. I'm like, am I? Because I just see all my students getting stronger. That's all I see. Every week I see them, and they keep growing in confidence. They keep getting stronger. They keep getting happier. They keep getting physically fitter. And then I'm like, oh, I'm a good coach. I'm a good coach. So then that's how I was getting my money. And then eventually I got to Goa. And oh man, I learned so much in Goa. So then I was in Goa for 9 months teaching there. And I worked damn hard. And then for the whole 9 months that I was in Goa, it was a lot of stress, like so much change in my life.
Change as in, can you...
UK to Goa, come on, different food. Like,
what was the cultural shock you have?
Not much of a culture shock, actually, because the UK is so multicultural. I've been exposed to so many cultures just from my hometown, and mostly from the gym. My wrestling don't come from the UK; it comes from Moldova.
Oh,
do you know what I mean? The huge Moldovan community. So I teach good wrestling at Gymkhana.
Okay.
My students can wrestle, and I props to Moldova for that. Like I said, this MMA game is just exchange of culture. I've got this wrestling skills from these Moldovans. Thank you so much to them. And now I'm in Nepal teaching it. And
so you went to Goa. So
I went to Goa, and I was there 9 months.
9 months.
And then the 9 months I was there, I'm learning a new culture. I'm with wonderful people. I love my students. Goa's beautiful, so beautiful. And I'm just getting really good at coaching. I was going from a novice coach to a damn good coach. And my students were winning. And
internationally?
Yes. No, not internationally.
Nationally?
Nationally in India.
India.
I had them represent on a couple MMA shows and a grappling event. I only had 9 months to work with them. So now my Indian students in Nepal come here, and we're continuing that trend of just success. But
and so what happened after 9 months?
9 months, at 6 months, I realized, it just can't be long term for me. I realized it couldn't be good for me.
You're not feeling good. The environment wasn't good. What was the factor that matters?
There's many factors, and it's more like what happened was when I quit my job in the UK. I quit my job and I was my own boss. And being my own boss, I was making really good money, and I was really happy, and I was in charge of my time. So I was doing really good in Goa. I made some great relationships, but it was just to take me somewhere else. And I was investing, just to stay afloat. I had to, I was there with my girlfriend at the time, so I'm investing a lot of my own money into this, and then my money getting low. And I just thought, I have to change the situation now. I need to. I worked so hard for 9 months, damn hard, and I think
the pay was not enough. To be very blunt,
I just want to speak. I was working so hard, and 9 months had gone, and I'm happy, but I'm like, coaching, and like this is my life also. And I thought, what happens when 2 years pass? And I'm like, and I had to sort of look at what 2 years was going to look like, because it's a long-term project. And when I looked 2 years down the line, 5 years down the line, I thought, this might not be good for me. So
it's not working.
It wasn't working. Feeling good. Wasn't working for me. So I felt like, okay, they're a brand new company. So I've helped set them up, and I've shown them how I'm doing these classes, and I just, I think the man even knew that there was always going to be a high turnover of coaching staff with this type of industry, with the tourism industry. But we're doing it for tourists, and I like that spit and sawdust type training. So I just wanted something better for me. I had no plan, but I just thought, okay, I need to leave India now. I need to go.
That intuition.
Intuition, yeah. I just knew I had to go. And I had no plan. But this is like when I quit my job, I didn't really have much plan. I knew I was going to be somewhere, but it could have fell through. And so anyway, I'm like, well, what can I do? And I thought I've come too far to turn back. And I thought, well, I'm a really good coach. I could travel with this. And so I decided I wanted to do, travel and teach seminars, see the world. So, I thought maybe I'll go Maldives, teach. Because in Asia, there's huge demand for my service, huge demand.
Coaching.
So because I know that there's huge demand for me, I need to be working for me.
Okay.
That's literally it. I need to be working for me. And I think, okay, what do I do? But I had to leave India, visas and that. So I'm like, well, I'll go Nepal. I'll go Nepal first.
Out of the blue.
Well, I knew it was north, and I'd met my friend.
Oh, exactly. You have a history back there.
I met a friend in Goa, Dewiz, who's also doing... Dewiz.
He's quite popular.
He's popular, yeah. So he's another man doing excellent work in the mixed martial arts in Nepal. Okay. He's a pioneer of mixed martial arts in Nepal.
Exactly.
So, and I met him in Goa, and that's, bro, hey, where are you from? Because I met him, he introduced himself to me. Oh, where are you from? Oh, from Nepal. And then I thought, oh, wow. And I said to him, oh, I'd love to visit one day.
And then you just, you just
no, that's literally it. Like, okay. I see him on like New Year's, going into 2022. Like, we was doing an event, so that's why he was there. He come to our gym because he wanted to compete on we had a grappling event. I think he won gold. So he was competing on that. So that's when I met him. And so that, I guess, planted a seed, I'd say. And then so that's when I thought, well, I have to go somewhere. I couldn't stay in India because I have to leave as per my visa. So I think, well, I'll just go to the nearest place. And in my head, I'm thinking, I was like, I could go to the Maldives. I could go to Nepal. And then I'm thinking, like, I could go to Thailand because there's huge demand for a good coach in many places.
In Thailand too?
Oh, it's a booming economy out there. That's the thing. So why I'm here is because I'm actually needed more here. I'm needed more in India. I'm needed more in Nepal. Because it's a growing culture. Now, Thailand is like a mecca for the mixed martial arts culture because
so whenever Thailand name came up, I only think about Muay Thai.
Muay Thai, exactly. So that's the Thai culture that comes to the table when we're talking about this mixed martial arts culture.
Exactly.
So because they had such a strong fighting culture, I think they had probably some Americans introduced this MMA, this new sport, this evolution of the culture to Thailand. And in Thailand, it was well received. They weren't like, oh, that threatens Muay Thai. No. Muay Thai is hugely popular. MMA, Muay Thai, they're different sports.
Same goes with Kung Fu in China. They just made a trademark out of it. Kung Fu in China is like. So moving on.
Yeah. So I come to Nepal.
Okay.
And
how you connected with Gymkhana and what really happened? So out of the blue, you didn't.
It's the first gym I visited.
Okay.
First gym I visited. So I thought, right.
So you landed in Nepal and you just
landed in Nepal. Me and my girlfriend did some sightseeing for like a week, and then I knew I was going to get to work. So I thought, all right, I know there's a few gyms, and they're going to want to be taught. And then I thought, well, I could teach here, teach there, and just stay afloat for another week. Teach there, stay afloat for another week. And then to the point where, okay, visa's up, next country, stay afloat. Because Philippines, they need it. Like MMA, you just got to go to where you got a product, you go to where there's demand for the service, right? But anyway, first gym I walked into, and like Gymkhana. So when I went to AKA, if we're raising fighters, that's a long-term plan. So when I met Raul Dai at Gymkhana, he had been wanting to do this MMA business, and he'd been running such a good thing with the Muay Thai. So he's a man that introduced a Muay Thai culture to Nepal, and he want to take it a step further because he knows MMA is an evolution of this game. So I went to the gym. He's like, hey, okay, let's go talk. And he's just like, first thing he asked me was just like, oh, I'd love to do MMA. I really would love a coach. And you know, in my head, I'm thinking I'm going to be in Goa for like a few years, and I left in sort of 9 months. So when I get to Nepal, and I straight away seeing like, oh, you know, the same opportunity presenting itself here. So I meet Raul, and he's like, I want to do this mixed martial arts game. And he said he didn't. First thing he asked me was just like, I knew he wanted to offer me a coaching role. He said, how long can you be here? Like, you know, and I said, for as long as I'm happy and healthy. That's all I said. And I've been here, 18, 19 months now, and I've been happy and healthy. You know, and because if I'm gonna get a student from like day one, turn him into a professional fighter, minimum, just to take him to a professional fighter, it's gonna like take 2 years. You know, so I knew it was a long-term plan. And then when he said, how long are you here? And then I know how long this game takes, because I know how long it took for me to get to where I was. And I knew what he wanted. He wants a successful team, and he wants good training, mixed martial arts training. And then in my head, I'm like, I know that's a long-term plan. So that's why I said, for as long as I'm happy and healthy. So basically what I meant by that is I'll do my very best. And they treat me so well at Gymkhana. They help me settle in quickly. And just all of the Nepal in general, I've been well received. So that's why I've been able to do this. And yeah, so it was difficult at first, you know, all these beginner students. And
so I want to ask you something. So how do you rate the motivation factor in fights in Nepali people?
Oh, how do I rate that?
What it takes to that student to represent internationally and actually win MMA?
First of all, some people come to train because they watch it on TV, and they might just say, I'm going to be a professional fighter. I think that's what, like, Max Holloway, who's one of the best in the world, he watched it and he's like, I'm going to do that. But generally, like, in my class, people didn't even know what it was. So it needs to start with as a hobby. It has to start there. If to go far in it, you have to love it. If you don't love it, you're not going to get good at it. So basically, how the motivation works, you need to do it because you're enjoying it, because you love it. And that it starts with that. And then you love it, you've been training for a year. Oh, a year's passed, I'm getting pretty good now. And then I'm like, are you crazy enough to fight then? Do you know what I mean? Like, because it's only a certain type of person that wants to fight. And I'll say that's probably only like 15% of those that train MMA that actually fight. Because it's not just about fighting. Absolutely everybody can get something from MMA, like disabled people, people of all shapes and sizes, boys and girls, young, elderly. MMA is for all of them, and they each get something else out of it. Now it's a rare type of individual that actually wants to fight. So you might find some people. I recommend it for anyone too. One amateur fight, 2 amateur fight. You're going to learn about yourself. So I would support anyone, even if they said to me, it's just like, I just want to do a fight. I don't want to be a fighter. I just want to do one. Because some people come to me, like, they just want to know about themselves. And sometimes I'll say, I actually mean this, to be honest. You don't really know yourself until you have a fight. And there's no diss to anyone that's not had a fight. But there's a lot of shadow work that's done in MMA. You have to search yourself, like, can I fight? And can I... What kind of man am I when the cards are down? Do you know, like when it's going wrong, when it's going well? You learn so much about yourself. So anyway, like,
so have you bumped into some so motivated, so determined that this Nepali guy could do something in MMA? Have you bumped into it?
We're talking Nepali students now. Most of my Nepali students are hobbyists. Okay. So
They just want to try.
I tell you, I had a student, and he was getting very good, very quick, and I was like, wow. And he was really strong. And me as a coach, I wanted him to fight because I'm like, yo, he's good. He's gotten so good really quick, so I want him to fight. And then and he's like, so I just asked him. I'm never going to pressure anyone to fight. I asked him, I said, do you want to fight? And he's like, yeah. But I noticed that when we actually started getting fights, then his training started going down.
Why?
Pressure, who knows? So then I thought, maybe I'm taking his love away a little bit from it, because I tell you, like, first of all, you have to love it as a hobby, but when you're gonna fight, when you're gonna compete, when you're gonna do it for work, then you're gonna hate it. I love it and hate it at the same time. So I didn't want to take away his enjoyment, so I stopped even asking if he want to compete. And the student has to come to me now. The student has to come to me now, and I would rather that they just have a fantastic time at training. My number one objective every day, when I go to class in the morning, when I go to class in the evening, I'm less concerned that they're going to get really good at MMA. I'm more concerned that they're just going to have a really nice time, and they're going to be happy in my
Enjoy
class,
that.
and that I'm going to improve their life. And it starts with that. So right now, I've got a handful of students who will be fighting amateur next year, Nepali, but it depends. It's on them, not on me. So I start with hobbyists. I grow them. My job as a coach is not just to develop the skills, it's to develop the passion. If the passion is there, they can fight. If they have the skills and not the passion, they should not step in that cage. So my actual fighters right now are my fighters from India. I've got 3 of the best students in the world. The best students in the world. And Wado, the black belt who was working with me at the time, he was saying it like, best students in the world from India. Nepal as well, I get, But these guys were all in when I met them, professionals as well. So when I left Goa, and they still want to pursue the career, and I think they see how well we was doing as a team, they now come up to Kathmandu. They are now based in Kathmandu, and them 3
are they getting paid? How they are sustaining? So
they have support from family. They do struggle.
Complete personal support. They are not getting paid anyway.
No,
for
they're doing some coaching.
Okay.
They have to support themselves. So it's so, like I said, I was working like a dog back in the UK. So they struggle, but I get a few. Your life can change in an instant in MMA. One fight can change your life. That's the thing. So for them, it's forget the struggle. They love it. They're so passionate. It almost doesn't matter if the money doesn't come. That's the right attitude. So they come to Nepal, and now I've got, because when I started from square one, like all my students didn't even know what MMA was. Karun, who you met, he knew what MMA was, and he's from that Muay Thai culture. So with students like him, it's easy to work with them. But I was first of all working with people that didn't even know what MMA was. You see how long I've been talking already, just trying to give a brief history on the sport. And I was having to do that every class. Because you got to understand that jiu-jitsu, right? Jiu-jitsu being the main thing that I'm teaching, it's very personal. So when I'm saying, look, class start getting my guard, they're going to be like, what? So I have to tell them why we're doing this fighting on the floor. So there was just too much to explain at first. So, and then when these my students from India come, now I've been working with them solidly for over 2 years, and they're professionals. So now I've got like a tier system in my class. I've got myself, the coach, the most knowledgeable. I've got my professionals, and then I've got my
rookies.
I've got my intermediates who have been training really hard. Like I've got a man called Jordan, a man called Harsh. I don't want to pick any favorites here because I love all my students. I love them, man. But I've just seen some people are really training hard. And that they're coming up, and so you got like my professionals, because all my Nepali students will be relatively beginner, because I've only had 18 months to work with them. That's not a lot of time.
Exactly.
Not a lot of time.
As you quoted that you at least need 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna push any of them towards a fight yet. I just want to develop the passion, and but now that my Indian students have come, they are now helping me, because when you've got like 20 people in a class and nobody knows what they're doing. I've only got 2 hours max to work with all these people.
It's difficult.
I've got to give these my all, and then if I'm paying attention to these, then these people behind me aren't getting my tuition as much. And, you know, but now with having some talent in the class, they've helped just ignite some life into the class. And now people are like, because before it's like, oh, everyone's trying to be as good as coach. That took like 10 or more years. But now they can see my students who I've been working with for longer, and they're like, oh, they're damn good. Oh, I want to be like that. So now, by having them students here, my other students have a benchmark. They know what they're trying to achieve. Like, when I first started this project, not all my students knew what they was just trying to achieve. They just were looking for a new hobby. That's all they was looking for.
So from being a Nepali, we are going there. We are getting there.
Yeah. Like, I'm going to have some Nepali fighters next year, some amateurs, and if they keep working the same as my other students, they're only going to go in the same direction. I've got some amazingly talented Nepali students. They haven't come to me yet and said, oh, I really want to fight, because it's stressful fighting.
The consent is there, so
I wait for that.
Okay.
I wait for them to tell me.
Okay.
But here's the thing, I get a lot of people say, I want to fight, I want to fight, and I'm like, I look at them like, no, you don't. No, you don't. You want some adulation. You want some respect. You don't want to go through what these fighters go through. I can see that from a mile off. Some of them come to me like, I want to fight. I look at them like, oh, you're real about this? Okay. And then I won't say much. I'll say, okay, keep training.
So, Richard, I may be offending you or something like that.
No,
I apologize in advance. But why didn't you choose being a fighter? Then you transition as a coach. So why you?
That's the opportunity, you know. Like I moved into this coaching role during lockdown.
Okay.
I couldn't fight. There was no fights.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? Like I got to India at the end of the lockdown. I did fight actually last year, so I haven't turned my back on fighting because I'm not done there, and no, I'm not done. I'm not done fighting, but I will need to change my. Next time I fight, I will make some arrangements.
I'm being very amateur in this all the stuff. So if you take a reference of football, so basically coaches are the retired players who can't perform or can't even play. So they are the coaches. What I witnessed. So is that same with the fighting or something like that?
Yes.
So you can't fight with due to your injury or you took it by?
Because I'm coaching full time. So a lot of fighters go into coaching because we got to make some money. And like I said, when I was first coaching, it was just pocket money, just a couple classes a week. Now, I can't fight now because being a full-time coach, the moment I step into the gym, even if I step into the gym just because I wanted to do some deadlifts, I get 101 questions. I can't even train because I'm there to help my students. But I need to put some boundaries up because I train to feel good. And since I've been coaching full time, I can barely train. I stay fit because I'm rolling with my students and I'm sparring with them. But next time I fight, I'll make some arrangements so I can train better myself. But you can't coach. You can't coach
being a fighter. You
can't coach and fight at the same time. It's one or the other. Now, by being a coach,
why you chose coaching?
Because I told you, the lockdown, isn't it? I needed my opportunities were gone during lockdown. I couldn't fight. I did the one fight during lockdown, and then I found myself in Goa. And then as soon as I get to Goa, I'm just learning to survive in a new world. So I coach to get by. You know, I just live day to day. So I'm not done fighting. I'm a fighter. I'm a fighter always. I'm a fighter when you find me on Christmas Day, Tiha, Desai. I'm never not. When I'm in my sleep, I'm a fighter. A fighter is who I am. Like, I'm never not a fighter. So I've not given up fighting. Like, every day is a fight. My dad said, you have to fight every day. He said, every day is a fight. And he meant this metaphorically speaking.
Exactly. There shouldn't be a fist fight.
I'm always a fight.
Fight is a fight.
Fighter. So, like, as in I live day to day. So right now, I've got the most amazing goals in front of me. I've got the most amazing team. So I go day to day serving my team. My boys are going to win in December. I'll make sure of it.
Indian boys or Nepali?
Indian boys.
So Nepali are, so judging from your conversation, so Indian who are training with you here in Nepal are in expert level, and Nepalese are in somewhere around intermediate or something like that.
So my Indian lads are going to fight, one in Delhi, and the other one's going to fight in Goa. The other two are fighting in Guwahati. Now they're stepping into the cage, but you know who's helping them? My Nepali students. you know what I mean? It's a culture. It's
We
a
are
shared
learning.
culture. Yeah,
Nepalese are learning,
No, I've got
right?
I have very talented Nepali students. So these boys are going to go fight. They've been sparring with me. They've been sparring with each other, and they've been sparring with all my Nepali students. I just need a little bit more time with the Nepali students because I will never, ever, ever, ever put my students in harm's way because I love them. So I've got excellent Nepali students. They're just
We
not.
are getting there. So
They
we are very.
They're just. I'm not going to put them there to lose. I'm not going to put them there to be publicly humiliated there. I'm not going to put them in there to lose their health.
It's a very dangerous game, after all.
It's the most dangerous. I'll put them in there when they're ready, and they are doing so amazing. And my Indian students couldn't even be ready if it wasn't for my Nepali students. Because you need the bodies on the mats. So it's just like, and I've got a few people. Jordan's been asking me about fights. He's ready. But Jordan's, I've got one. He's an excellent student. He's 17, so I'm not going to put him in any ridiculous situation.
Exactly.
I have to have
Still young.
I have to have the most duty of care with all my students. So I got amazing Nepali students, real fighters, and they'll be in there when the time is right. I'm talking early next year.
The motivation is there.
The motivation's there. I've got some that want to fight.
We are bucking up.
Yeah. Hey, the Wiz has got some excellent students. So it's not about Indian students. It's not about Nepali students.
Being a Nepali, so where are we is the thing I want to know. So we as a Nepali, being strong and we are named and famed as a Gurkhas and all, and we are the strength factor is there, right? So we can fight as a Gurkha.
My granddad always used to tell me.
Exactly.
He was always saying, the Gurkha, the best soldiers in the world. So my granddad is a military man.
Exactly. We have a legions that saying that we are the strongest and we can really, these guys can fight. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
So I just want to ask that where we Nepaliyas are in factor of MMA, right?
Nepal needs
we
to
are reaching there.
Nepal needs to be represented in all sports. Do you understand? Because it's like you have some of the most strongest people here.
Exactly.
Why do the British employ the Gurkha?
Exactly.
Because they're so damn fierce. They're such good fighters. Because they're so fit. These Sherpas so fit. So then I'm thinking, well, how
we are known for strength, but
cardiovascular.
Let's say we didn't get the platform enough, or we don't get the field opportunity enough.
There. It's like I thought to myself, like, if you got such incredibly fit people, I'm like, well, how is it not? How are you not being represented in track and field in the Olympics?
Yeah, we don't have
because you should be. You should be. And now here's the beauty of MMA. Like, it's only our business, as in for, like the opportunities in other sports aren't there right now, but they are for MMA.
So, as far as being a Nepali, the major concern is, will it feed you if you are a fighter in Nepal? So what we are quoted as, "Tana khana dincha." Does that feed you? Does that thing feed you? Fighting for living.
If you work hard enough, it will.
Yeah, but as far as we are taught, so we are always told that we are not foreigners who are supported by their governments and all they are get paid for that fights. But that's not the scenario. Yeah. When I heard it from you, so pay factor is always there. So as you said that you are working your ass off and getting a fight, and you get so fucked up in the situation, and you have to actually leave your country and be in India.
It's a very difficult life.
So money factor is not the concern. It's all it's same all over. Yeah. So basically we lack we lack recognition, must say.
Yeah, MMA is a hobby.
Exactly.
It starts as a hobby. Eventually you get so good that maybe you could just fight. But it's like the opportunities have to be there. And now they are there. Since I've been in Nepal, I've seen, I think, 4 MMA events, amateur events, and one hosting professionals as well, NWC. So now there's a platform that... trust me, these opportunities are growing. Because you got NWC, so now Nepali people can fight on the home turf instead of having to travel down to India every time they want to fight. So there's something beautiful growing here. And the opportunities are now presenting themselves.
These fights are done by Nepali people or AKA?
Yeah, Nepali no, AKA nothing to do with this.
Okay.
No, Duiz. I'll tell you about Duiz.
Okay.
So he's like I say, he's pioneering. So he's created a platform. So he's created the opportunities. Someone has to do it.
Exactly.
Raul, you need coach. You need a coach. And he's like, we need good coaching because it's so scarce. He's the man that's had the foresight to go and find a good coach. So it's because of men like Duiz, because of men like Raul. Without these people who are personally invested in the growth of this sport, and they love it. So it's because of these people that now opportunities are presenting themselves for all these young.
Nepali
Young, it
guys.
doesn't even matter about young. It doesn't. You can go at any age. Back home, I'm training with people. They start in their 40s, and when I'm at training, like I'm just watching them get younger, because that's what martial arts does for you.
Okay, one last question. So let's sum up some of this podcast session. So one last question: if I want to be a MMA fighter, it's basically a mixed martial art, right? So what martial art I need to be trained to be called as an MMA fighter? So I need to be learning karate, boxing, kickboxing and all, and so I'll be called as a mixed martial art, or there is a specific kind of martial art that you need to be learned?
It's an art form, right? So if you want to be a fighter, you're the artist. Yeah.
So liberty is only.
If you watch, what's so beautiful about the sport is everyone fights different. When you watch Russians, so you're like, oh, this is how you see the culture effect. You're gonna watch these Russians. They're coming with that heavy wrestling base, and you see that people from different parts of the world have a similar style. So now MMA is now like a hybrid system within itself. So if you want to be an MMA
if I want to be trained by Richard,
yes,
what is the first suggestion you will give if I come to you and train me as an MMA fighter? So what do you suggest?
In fighting, the most important thing really is positioning. So I could go into great depth about what positioning really means. But to explain that concept to you first, I will start you with boxing. And it will start with just footwork. Yeah. Okay. So you'll learn positioning in boxing, and then I'll develop some. Every fight starts on the feet. So generally, like if someone's coming to me with 1-to-1, I always start with the boxing. I start with the good base. Because wrestling is so tough that if we start with wrestling, and let's say you're in your 30s and we start with wrestling, they think, oh, this isn't for me. So I teach them boxing. They get stronger, and then when I think they can handle it, then I'll start teaching them some real MMA. But jiu-jitsu, like how I'm doing it, I run like MMA in the morning, jiu-jitsu in the evening, because jiu-jitsu is one of the deepest studies out of all of the martial arts. So
you started off with the boxing techniques for positioning and more stronger and strength positioning and all is for jiu-jitsu.
Yes. So
you end up doing jiu-jitsu and boxing. So
I explained, you've got that. I explained that trinity, isn't there? You've got your striking disciplines, wrestling, and the groundwork. So you
groundwork is for jiu-jitsu. I know that.
You need to be competent in all three areas. So the groundwork is pretty much all Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Now that in between phase between BJJ and striking, we're talking judo, wrestling, Greco-Roman wrestling, and fence work. Fence work is something new that only exists now that we have a vertical structure to work against in MMA. And then striking. So, and some people come to me if it's on a one-to-one basis, and they just fall in love with boxing, and they don't want to learn jiu-jitsu because it's not for everyone. It's too close contact jiu-jitsu. So
that is a pretty much generalized version of being an MMA fighter, right?
You need them free.
Okay.
And you can lean heavier towards one or the other. You can be like a pure hybrid, or you could be like Michael Venom Page, who leans so heavy towards that kickboxing, or you could be like Khabib Nurmagomedov, who leans so heavy towards that wrestling, or you could be like I forget his name. Some people lean so heavy. Well, I mean, the founder of MMA himself, Royce Gracie, pure jiu-jitsu.
So, Richard, we are in the end of the podcast. So, what else you want to tell to new and aspiring MMA fighters and existing MMA fighters in Nepal who want to be a international fame and name in the field?
Come to my class. have a great time.
Okay.
It's that you gotta love it. Just come to my class, because you'll find you'll learn about yourself. You'll learn new skills. Just start. No pressure. Don't put that pressure on yourself first. You gotta love it before you start getting them results as a fighter. But if you want to be, if you're here and you want to be a professional MMA fighter, come to my class. That's it. Come to my class, because I'll teach you really well.
So, thank you, Richard.
Dhanyavad.